What is your screw this, I quit story? Was at a job for 3 years, consistently in the top 3 of my department in terms of performance. Asked my supervisor repeatedly if I could be recommended for advancement/promotion and he always told me he was trying his best to get me new opportunities. Found out from a friend in a different department that I'd been considered a top candidate for 4 different promotions and each time my supervisor had blocked it. When I confronted him with this information he told me it was true. And he did it because I could never find someone who does what you do without paying them a lot more. Internally said F this, I quit and found a new job within 3 months. Took all my PTO, and on the day I came back I quit 2 hours into the day leaving him high and dry at a peak time. Screw that dude. I could never find someone who does what you do without paying them a lot more lol. That they actually said that, what a douchebag. He's basically saying, yeah, I'm screwing you. Yeah. Screw that dude. I worked for a company for over a year that was contracted to make deliveries for Amazon. The vans they equipped us with were terribly maintained and fully unequipped to handle winter weather. I worked with the company through their first winter, which meant sliding all over the road when it was icy and getting stuck constantly every time we had snow. I never had a major accident, though I did have 2 or 3 close calls where only minor damage was incurred to the van. I decided to stick it out through the summer, when the weather was obviously much better. All summer long they promised us that new and better vans were coming. September rolls around, no vans. October, no vans. November, no vans. That month we got our first real snow. I got back from my route and immediately put in my notice. My boss told me they would be getting new vans by the end of the year. I told her that was nice and walked. Was working at a restaurant in Borotien. Found a better job that actually gave me hours and went in to put my 2-week notice. Was more like a week, a few days due to timing of the new gig. In out of courtesy, I got a lecture about how I could never come back to the company since it wasn't a full 2 weeks. I then suggested politely that that's great. Let's say today is my last day then. Was such a relief. Edit, this blew up a bit, and it made it to a Chive article. This happened over 15 years ago. Should have mentioned that. Thanks for the silver kind redditor. I had a manager who was just trying too hard. Our team meetings were just yelling sessions, because we did not work as fast as she expected. She would commit 2 days to the client for something that would take 3 weeks. She got her comeuppance when more than half the team quit within a month of each other. I gave her 15 days notice. She told me I should stay for longer else she'll make sure I'll never be able to work for the company again. I was willing to sit with her and help her with the tasks hand over in the 15 days, but once she threatened me, I told her I was not staying longer and enjoyed my 15 days notice. I was 20 and had been working in a call center for just over a year. I was promoted to an assistant manager with a new compensation structure that was identical to the other assistant manager. Basically you got your wage, a very small percent of the total office revenue, and then 10% of your own revenue from when you worked on the phone. My immediate manager and office supervisor gave me this without confirming it with the regional manager, who was on a 2-month vacation in the drive. When I got my first check, after being promoted there was no bonus. I was told it would be corrected soon. When I got my second check, after being promoted there was no bonus. I was told it would be corrected soon. When I got my third check, after being promoted there was no bonus, and I was told we had to wait for the regional manager to come back and authorize it. I was being paid weekly and worked another 4 weeks under the premise that I would get a lump sum when the regional manager returned. The problem was that I sold significantly more than the other office manager. The back pay had grown to such a large amount that when the regional manager did return he questioned why the office manager had given me this structure as he considered it to be too much money. On my next check there was no lump sum, and I was told that they were figuring out a new structure. My following shift I stayed home and got a frantic call from the office manager asking me why I wasn't at work. I told him I couldn't afford to go to work. He said, "Why, can't you afford it?" "Because I have been getting ripped off for 2 months. Call me back when you have my money, or don't call me at all." Never did get paid. My dad taught me that you have to get this type of thing in writing before you start selling. I had a company give me a fantastic commission structure, but then took 6 months to give it to me in writing. They would ask me why I wasn't selling, and I kept telling them I would start as soon as they gave me the structure in writing. After paying me based on the structure, they altered it 2 months in and changed my position as it wasn't fair to the company. Was delivering pizzas in high school, and I had to deliver to this trailer park. It had a few hundred lots and was kinda confusing since I had never been there before, and the store map was horrible. Boss wrote the directions down wrong. He was the only one allowed to answer phones, and after 90 minutes I find the place. The guy gets the stuff for free, and I told him no to the tip because I should have double checked before leaving. I head back to the store and the boss says I have another order to deliver, and I was going to pay for both of these orders out of my pocket. I said I quit and walked out. He was an Italian immigrant and started cursing at me in Italian. 6 months later the place closed because he could not keep drivers because of this crap. Edit. Lots of replies. No, my name is not Peter or Fry. Just a fat kid trying to make money in rural Michigan. I was a new sous chef at a country club. Chef wouldn't let anyone but himself do the ordering. His ordering method was to go over a sheet of paper hanging on the line where people wrote down what we were out of. Not what we were nearly out of, but what we were completely out of. Anytime I'd try to add items that we were close to out of on, he'd lose his shit. We were constantly out of things. One day, we had a huge Easter breakfast event. Dipshit chef didn't order near enough eggs and we were out of all sorts of other random items. I was out front making omelets for members, ran out of eggs, and stood around for 15 minutes waiting for more, while the members became increasingly frustrated then angry. Went to the back to see chef yucking it up with the floor manager, handed him my apron, and told him to pound sand. Was at that job for less than 2 weeks. Worked one day for a wholesale hardware store. Got a 15-minute orientation and the owner left the store and me to run the retail section on my own. Couldn't process sales because I didn't have a login for his system. He got angry and sent me into the warehouse. They were pulling inventory for a big sale. No real direction was given. Just pull as many tools and commonly sold items as possible. Was asked if I could drive a forklift and said I've never done it before. Was told to hop on and figure it out. Owner asked if I felt comfortable driving a truck to work sites and selling supplies for cash. Asked if I would be covered under his insurance and he changed the subject. Was expected to climb 30-foot high shelves, stand on a pallet, and get lifted into the air with a forklift, then proceed to lift heavy boxes onto the pallet. Me and this other guy pulled hundreds of boxes and got in shit for not pulling the right inventory finally. After working 11 hours I asked when my shift was over. Owner told me that there's no schedule. You can leave when you want. Asked when he wanted me to come in tomorrow 7 AM. Wait, maybe make it 5:30 to 6 AM. Then work until 6 PM. I asked him to confirm that he wanted me to work 12 hours. He said if I could put in 14 to 16 hours, that would be great, since the only other employee refuses to work weekends. I interviewed for a corporate accounting role because public accounting was much less pay and a lot more hours. Was told in the interview that it was show up between 8 to 9, leave between 4 to 5. There'd be no more working late nights or having to work on weekends, which was great. I took the job and within 2 months realized they were lying through their teeth. First off, there was absolutely no training on their processes. I was given enough work for 3 people with no direction on how to do it. My manager was so scatterbrained, he could never give me any help when I asked. No one talked for 8 hours a day, and it was just an unbelievably bad work culture. I'd get to work usually at 8:30 and leave at 4:30 while eating lunch at my desk. I came in one day and was told, since you're leaving so early, I can only hope you're working from home. Then the next week, we are told we have to come in for a full day Saturday because we had New Year's Day off that Monday. My final straw was when I left at 2:30 one day for a doctor's appointment. When I came in the next day, my manager pulled me into a room and said that I didn't have enough accrued PTO to do that, and he was going to dock my pay in a salaried position. Went in the next day, told him it wasn't working out, and put my 2 weeks in. On my last day, he told me I could leave at 11:30, so I did. When I got my final paycheck, he docked my pay for the remainder of that day. Luckily, the recruiter who got me the job followed up to ask what happened, and I was completely open and honest with her. Apparently, that manager has a very high turnover rate for the position I was in, and the recruiter told me that the CFO is looking into replacing him.